Hey, this is Victor Antonio, and welcome to another episode of the Victor Report. Today I got a question from a gentleman we'll just call Bob. He has a problem, and he's asked me to try to solve it for him. So I'm going to see if I can give him some suggestions on how to tackle this one. This is a sales question, so if you're into selling, hang out. If you're not into selling, check out some of my other videos. All right? So here is his email to me. Hello, Victor. I love your work. Thank you. He says, I started watching your videos when I got hired for a sales job. I work for blank company, and my job is to knock on people's door to sell them cable, internet, and home phone. I know who you are. He said, this company is the biggest company in blank city right now, but its past is very bad. A lot of clients don't want to listen because they say, I hate that company, and I had a bad experience with it a few years back, and there's no way I'm going back. I know that those clients aren't the clients I need to target, but I feel that if I had a counter argument, that I could change someone's mind or give me another chance. This company does offer better technology and better pricing, but it has a checkered past. So what he wants me is to help him with the sales pitch at the door. All right, so let's walk through a couple of things here. This is kind of like some real world stuff going on here. One, I hate people who knock on my door. So I'm that type of customer that really hates you knocking on my door. Putting that aside, putting my bias aside, because I've had people come to our house and say, hey, we want to offer you a different service when I'm really happy with the service I got. And then I just listen to their sales pitch because as a sales trainer, I like to listen to sales pitches. And usually they just try to convince me that it's a little better, a little faster, and it's going to be a little cheaper. And that's not enough to make me change my mind. So here's the formula, Bob, I want you to keep in mind. 4 steps. The first step is that the customer is thinking, is there a gain? Okay, that's the first thing. Is there a gain? In other words, is there a big difference in the speed or service, and is there a big difference in the price? So immediately they want to know, is there a gain? Second, they want to know the magnitude of that gain. Well, how much faster is this technology compared to what I have? More importantly, how much cheaper is this new technology? The bigger the magnitude, the more enticing the offer. The third phase, if you got them to agree that there's a gain, then they look at the magnitude of the gain, how much faster and how much cheaper, and they go, wow, that's pretty big. Then the third part, here's the tricky part, is the perceived effort of switching over. Let me say it slowly. It's the perceived effort of switching over. Let's go back to the door. You're talking to me, and you say, Victor, it's better, it's faster, quicker. It's like a Daft Punk song. Better, faster, quicker. You know, that whole thing. Right? So you tell me it's faster, it's better, it's cheaper. I say, by how much? You say, by that much. I'm like, wow, okay, that's impressive. But in my mind now, I'm going to the third phase. I went through gain. You told me the magnitude. Now I'm thinking about the perceived effort. Well, how much trouble is this going to cost me to disconnect what I have and then reconnect what you have? Will everything go right? Will something go wrong? So what you want to do at this point, if you convince them that the magnitude is big enough, that there is a reason to change because it's faster and cheaper, size order of magnitude is very big, then now the perceived effort kicks in. What you have to do is to, in their minds, minimize their perceived effort. In other words, you have to minimize in their mind how much work this is going to cost to switch over. So you can say something like this. And in order for us to switch you over, it typically takes, let's say, 30 minutes. And we'll have somebody over here tomorrow. Something like that. And by the way, we've done 100 houses, and on average, it really takes less than 30 minutes. So if that's the case, and I'm making this part up, if that's the case, that it takes less than 30 minutes on average, then in my mind, the perceived effort is really easy. It's not going to be a lot of effort to switch over. But if you have to tell me, well, I have to set up an appointment, and then I have to schedule time for you to come by, and typically, you know, if we come over, what we'll do is we'll install the modem. It'll take us an hour to set it up, and maybe another hour to do the testing. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I got to schedule, I got to make time in my day, I don't know if I'm going to be home. All this is perceived effort. I don't want to do it. It's not worth the savings. So again, is there a gain? Yes. How big is the gain? What's the magnitude of the gain? How much faster? How much cheaper? And then in your mind, you have to minimize the perceived effort in the customer's mind. In other words, you have to let them know that's not going to be a big deal to switch over. And then last but not least, and this is probably where you're tripping up, is the trust factor. Do they trust what you're saying? They probably believe you on the price. They probably believe you on the speed. Do they believe you on the perceived effort? In other words, if in the past something went wrong, they're thinking, no, it's probably only going to take 30 minutes if everything goes right. but my past experience with you shows that things might happen. And that's where you're going to hiccup with the customer. They're going to look at perceived effort and do they trust what you're saying. So if you're working for a company who in the past has screwed their customers, so to speak, then you have some work to do. You have to find a way to convince the customer that this is not going to happen again. Because what insurance do they have that it isn't going to happen again? This is where you have to really dig deep, maybe talk to the people in your marketing department. So what can I say to reassure my customers that if they work with us now, our company has changed, and if they work with us now, this will be different. So really, it's about finding the right messages to deliver at the door. Does that make sense? Because if you can find the right messaging to convince them that, again, it's not going to be a big deal, and we have changed, and here's some proof, that's where you have to provide some proof to make them feel good about the change. Because again, some people will pay a lot more money just knowing that they have what they want already. I'll use me as a personal example. If you came to my door, you could probably save me $20 a month. And I would probably say, okay, but you know what? I've worked with past companies, the last one I had before the one I currently have, and guess what? They screwed up my service. And the amount of back and forth phone calls I had to make was just irritating. And so in my mind, I have a bad experience, just like the customer you're talking about. For me to switch over, it's going to be nearly impossible because to save me $20 a month, it's not worth the hassle. In my business, for me, it's not worth the hassle. Now, for other people, $20 a month may be a lot of money for them. And that might be a motivator. But the average buyer who basically says poo-poo at $20 is not going to switch over. So you're right in your original assumption. You may not want to target those people who had a bad experience because there's no way to erase that bad experience. So again, you can try, find new messaging, work with your marketing department to come up with phrasing, maybe some social proof, things that you can show that you've changed, and maybe provide some type of guarantee on top of that, that if it doesn't go that way, this is what we'll do for you. Something enticing that maybe you'll be able to convince the customer. But keep in mind how the brain works, that once people have been burned by a company, the chances of them buying back are not in your favor. So keep that in mind. It may be time to move on and find customers who haven't had that bad experience. That will increase your probability of selling. Bob, I hope this helped. This is Victor Antonio with another episode of the Victor Report, reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how, and the customer hasn't had a bad experience with you in the past. Take care.
Every manager can feel it. The difference between a motivated, value-driven sales team and one that's stuck in a rut. CEOs know the difference too. They can see it clearly in the profit and loss columns. The question is, how do you get your team to this elite level? Is there something extra you can do to break through the remaining resistance and equip them with the right mindset to grow your business? Yes, there is. But you're not going to do it with one of those cheesy inspirational speakers or some self-proclaimed guru. What you need is someone with a real business track record to deliver key insights in a captivating way, to give your team the right tools for selling in today's tough marketplace. Enter Victor Antonio, experienced executive, innovative thinker, compelling speaker. He's ready to deliver the message you need your people to hear, not with a canned speech, but a customized, dynamic keynote designed to deliver results. Bring Victor Antonio to your next event before the competition does. Go to www.victorantonio.com for more information.